Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and Alex King here. Today is Wednesday, April the 3rd, 2019. It's 8 a.m. in New York. It's 5 a.m. in Los Angeles. It is, let's see, what time is it? 1 p.m. in London. Sydney, Australia is around midnight. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm just happy we're on the air. I mean, we're 10 minutes late because Facebook said, you know what? I don't really want to do this today. Can we do this tomorrow?
Facebook said hashtag nope.
Hashtag dope. That's right. Or like the joke that I shared with you before the podcast, which is older than I am. And that joke is today has been canceled due to lack of interest.
Yeah.
You get that notification, you know you're off to a bad start, right? But fortunately, we found a solution for Facebook's problems. We basically wiped it out of the browser and everything else. And once we wiped it out of the browser, everything worked.
There you
It's
go.
kind of like, it was like memory erase, you know? Okay, forget everything. Oh, okay, I feel so much better now.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Just
Get all
start
the
from
issues out of the way,
scratch.
just forget it. Yeah. That's what happens with birth, isn't it? When
Yep.
we come here, we forget about everything.
Yep.
Everything.
hmm
You know? Now I'm beginning to understand why. It's a reboot.
It's a reboot. That's exactly what it is.
Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, we're here. We're doing the show. We're getting started. People are starting to stream in, so no, life is good.
Just
Um,
sprinkling in among the crowd.
Sprinkling in, that's right. Yes. Well, you're getting more than a sprinkle there in the Hyannis area, aren't you? You're getting kind of a downpour today.
Oh, we're getting a little more than a sprinkle, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. It keeps you inside. Like you having any trouble with that, but
Keeps me inside.
So how are you this morning? What's going on?
I am so awake.
So like, oh, that's,
I've been counting down the hours until it was time to start the podcast. That's how awake I am.
wow. Poor Alex. Her medical team neglected to leave her sleeping stuff, so she could. The little chance that she had to get a good night's sleep disappeared entirely because she couldn't even take that. So,
Nope.
but
So
you did a
bad
lot of
luck.
social media. You caught up on all your social media.
Caught up on all the social media. Yep.
Yep. So that's somewhat good, I think. I hope.
Yep. Did a little
Although
shopping.
these days you never. I mean, we were talking before about how there's always something to complain about, and always, if there's not something to complain about, then people find a way to complain about it. They invent
Yes.
something new to complain about, right?
hmm
So I think I'm noticing a trend here in our own conversation. We're coming up with things to complain about. We should probably shift that. What do you think?
Yes. Let's
Okay.
make it positive. Yeah.
So let's start again. Welcome to LOA Today. Right, you start the day over, right? If it doesn't go right the first time, you
We're
just
giving
start
it a
all over.
reboot. Giving it a
That's
reboot.
right. So anyway, today will be a Q&A for those who are listening to the live stream of the show. And good morning, Amy. We see you. So feel free to chime in with any questions you want us to address. But meantime, we'll just kind of do our usual little chatting routine about whatever topics come to our mind. Um, we are getting closer and closer. We're not there yet. We got quite a bit of work left to do, but we're getting closer and closer to the day when we are able to announce the release of our fiction podcast. We're taking the baby steps. That's what you have to do, right? You take
Yep.
baby steps. We're taking baby steps, but we're moving there. We're moving closer and closer.
Yep.
So that's something to look forward to. That's a happy thought, getting that first episode out. I saw
hmm
something on Facebook yesterday. I don't know if you've seen these before.
hmm
Somebody has come up with a new way of telling a story on Facebook using it's kind of like reproducing like a text message series, a thread, and they show you the thread one message at a time. That's their way of telling their story, which is clever, but I also found it's pretty boring. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't help if the story itself is boring.
Right.
But what's interesting is this story, somebody was advertising it on Facebook. It wasn't just a post, it
hmm
was a sponsored post. And excuse me, I've got stuff in my glasses. The
I hate when that happens.
the post had like 750 comments on it. And about 9/10 of them were, well, that's 5 minutes. I'll never get back again. That kind of, they were just rejecting it outright. Terrible, 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 all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The other 10% where people were saying, I loved it. I thought that was really
Really?
interesting. Yeah, you don't usually
Hmm.
see that. It's usually everything goes one way or everything goes the other way, but there was disagreement. There
Hmm.
was disagreement and people having different opinions about it. Some people loved it, most people hated it. And when I added it up at the end of the day in my head, I realized, well, that's like 10% of the population was liking it or even loving it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that's not so different from television.
Yep.
That's not so different from, radio. That's not so different from podcasts. That's not so different from any of it.
Yep.
Because most shows that are out there of any kind, there is the minority who love it, and then there's the majority who says, "Go away, I can't stand you."
Right.
So once again, there were two things that I took away from it. The first one was, now remember, this is an advertised post, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it had a huge amount of interaction, most of it negative, but the people who didn't like it, they took the time to interact with it. In fact, a number of them even took note of the fact that I just wasted 5 minutes, and what's even worse, I actually responded to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
the point is, they responded. They
Yeah.
responded to this, and I'll tell you, the story that they wrote was really bad. It really was not very good at all. I mean, it wasn't even well thought out. That was the worst part. But
Yeah. See, I hate that.
but it was supposed to be a thriller. It was supposed to be
Oh.
it was supposed to be a story about how somebody had framed somebody else for murder and was
Ooh.
kind of bragging about it to the person that they're talking to and
Mm-hmm.
bragging about it in a way that basically says you can't do anything about it. And
Oh.
and you or your friend are going to be the prime suspect. You know, it was that
Excuse
kind of a deal.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, the premise sounds on the surface like it's pretty good, but when you actually read it, it's like, oh, come on, just keep it moving, keep it moving. This is so slow. It was not. It didn't get the suspense going
Yeah.
like you thought it would. You know, it just didn't. It just didn't work. And I think that's what people were reacting to. And yet, it still had a significant proportion of the population who reacted well to it. That's basically
Mm-hmm.
the same thing that I saw with that company that put out a whole bunch of podcasts called Gimlet. They sold their
Yeah.
podcast to Spotify for a huge amount of money.
Right.
And many of those, I mean, I can't say I previewed all of them. I previewed a handful of them, but the ones the handful that I previewed, they sucked too. They really weren't very good. They just weren't very good at all. I mean, the best one wasn't really good, but the best one was the story of a woman who goes to work for a company that's like Alexa or Siri, one of the um,
Right.
artificial intelligent voices, and come to find out that behind the artificial intelligence, there's really no artificial intelligence. It's just a whole room full of people answering the questions.
Yeah.
That was the big, reveal. And I thought to myself, that's the best you can come up with, really?
Uh, Not with the stage at where TV shows and other shows are at today. That's not
Yeah.
even up to par. Like you got to get it together.
But apparently, it is up to par. I mean, it's sold as part of a package for $230 million. That's a pretty good par.
I don't understand.
I mean,
Where's our check? Oh,
yeah, right. Well, that's what we're working toward, right? We're
right,
trying to
exactly.
put out a show that we think is going to be popular. Of course, we could be wrong. We could put it out there and everybody says, "Well, that was 5 minutes. I'll never get back." You never know
But the
what you're
point
going to get.
is, they responded to it. That's the
They
point.
responded to it, yeah. Well, actually, I think the bigger point is we'll like it. We're going
Yes.
to put out something that we like, that we think is good stuff, and
Yeah.
if nobody else
As
likes it,
long
then
as as long
okay.
as we're happy doing it, that's all that
That's the
matters.
bottom line. That's the
Hmm.
bottom line. Yeah. So, good on us. Uh, people are still filing in, saying hello and so forth, but nothing really coming into question. So why don't we do one of our Q&A round robins where I come up with a question, you come up with a question, and we'll just see what we can figure out that way. Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
Let me see what I
So,
got here.
well, I got the first one for you. The first
Okay,
question
good.
is, okay, you wake up in the morning and it's thundering and lightning out, and the day does not look good. It looks pretty bleak from a weather perspective, and you're not Alex King, so you actually do like going outdoors, but today you can't go outdoors, and it's getting you down. What do you do?
See, I'm the wrong person to ask because that's a nap day to me. That is that is what I like to call snuggle weather.
Snuggle weather.
find someone to snuggle with, and you snuggle all day.
I love it. That is great. Snuggle weather. Okay, a new term has been introduced into the lexicon. I like it. Very good.
Yep. Put that on a t-shirt. Hashtag snuggle weather.
But but still, this is about challenging you. So I'm challenging you to kind of think outside your comfort zone. Okay, so you have to think
Okay.
like someone who doesn't prefer to stay indoors.
Okay. So say like today, someone
So
who
today,
has to get up
right?
and go to work.
Yes, or go out and do something that they enjoy. Maybe it isn't something they have to do. Maybe they wanted to do something. Maybe today was the day where they were flying to Disney World. Maybe today was the day they were going to go, up to the north and do some skiing. Well, there's not much snow left up there, but maybe go someplace where there's some skiing. Maybe they had some fun activity they had in mind and they can't do it because it's raining.
Hmm. Well, I say you have to replace it with another activity that you enjoy doing, whether it's just going to have to be an indoor activity because
Hmm.
of the weather, and whether it be in your house or indoor somewhere else. Like, if you, let's say you were planning to take the family to go play mini golf, well, you can't do that in the rain, so maybe you guys should go see a movie.
Hmm.
So substitution.
Not always easy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can think of a time when I was, I guess I must have been 8 or 9 years old, and and people listening can begin your booing now because I'm a Yankee fan. I have been all my life. Um,
Whoa.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Well, we
Uh,
have people from all around the world, so some people may not even know what a Yankee is.
that's true. Well, actually, no,
Or
I think most people know
it
who the New
means
York
some.
Yankees are. They may not know
That's
what the
true.
game of baseball is, but they know who the New York Yankees are because
That's
everybody's
true.
heard that. Yeah. But anyway, I was 8 or 9 years old, and I was going to my first Yankee game. Actually, I think it was the second one. My second Yankee game, and we drove. It was a 165-mile trip by
Mhm.
car. Drove the trip, got to Yankee Stadium, got into our seats, and it started to rain.
Oh no.
And it kept raining, and the game got rained out.
Oh.
And I was the most disappointed little 8 or 9 year old you can imagine.
Yeah.
My father and my grandfather were with me, and they were both trying so hard to cheer me up, and I was inconsolable
Mhm.
because I'd been looking forward to this sporting event for weeks, literally for weeks.
Yeah.
Now, most of us, when we get to adulthood, we can handle it a little bit better than an 8 or 9 year old can. But
Not me.
nevertheless, well, except for Alex.
I don't do well with change.
Don't do well with change. Okay, yeah, that's fair. But what can you tell to somebody? What can you suggest to somebody to help them cheer up?
Buck up, Buttercup. That's what Alex is.
Buck up, Buttercup. Well, there it is. That's the scientific
And that's the technical term.
technical term. Right? Buck up, Buttercup. Okay. Well, then I'll leave that one there, and I'll say, Alex, it's your turn to come up with a question. This
Okay,
poor,
so I'm going to
this
take
handsome
your.
9 year old is just sitting there, just saying, "Oh God, I'm just so depressed." And Alex tells me to buck up. Thanks so much. Okay.
I know that's the worst thing to do when someone is upset, or it's like it's like they say when a woman's mad, the last thing you want to do is tell her to calm down.
Yes, right. Exactly. Yes.
That's the worst thing you can do. So, my question is, what do you do when you feel like you have a giant rain cloud over your head? Fix,
What do you mean, like there was actually a cartoon many years ago that had just that.
yeah.
It was called
Was it
Sad
Calvin and
Sack.
Hobbes?
Well, no, that also had the same idea in there, but it
Okay.
preceded Calvin and Hobbes. It was called Sad Sack. This guy literally walked around with a cloud over his head with little raindrops coming out of it.
Oh, I was thinking of Eeyore.
Well, Eeyore, okay, yeah, yeah, very
So
depressed.
how do you cheer yourself up and get rid of the negativity that's surrounding you?
That's where I have my list. I have a
Hmm.
list of well, it currently has 16 items on it, but that's actually an undercount because one of the items on the list is the collection of processes that you can perform that are in the back of the book asking it is giving, which is itself a list of 22. So
Wow.
22 plus 16, that's 38, and plus there's some that aren't on there. So
Look
I
at
just go to
you
my
doing
list.
quick math.
Oh, I'm pretty good at math. I'm very quick. Yeah, I've
Not
been
me.
able to do that.
I would have needed a calculator and a pen. I would have been here for about 20 minutes.
You and my wife. Well, actually, you know what she really does? She comes to me and says, "Well, what's 16 plus 22?" And I'll tell her 38. Oh, thank you.
Exactly. I'll be like, hold on, let me get the calculator app on my phone. Give me a minute.
You can't stand on the computer. Okay, my cat decides he's going to walk across the keyboard. No, I mean that's what I do. I go to my list and find something on that list. This is a list of things that in the past I've been able to successfully use to help myself pick myself up to get into a better feeling place. And I can, without even looking at it, I can tell you what my top two items are. They're go out for a walk and listen to some music that I like. I have a positive music
Oh,
list.
listening to music is always a good thing, especially if
Yeah,
you have a good playlist. I have a cheer up playlist.
yeah,
I have a
yeah. That's
playlist
one
for
of my
every situation.
I'm sure you do. You have playlists for playlists that need playlists. I mean, you probably have
Yes,
playlists that just kind of serve other playlists. I don't know if they get listened
I have a
to. I just have
playlist for I have a playlist for when you don't want to listen to any other playlist
my I love it. That's great.
called the Eclectic Album.
Good. That's good. Good name. I like that. But yeah, that's music is. I mean, I think part of it is because I am very attuned to sound. Audio is my
Mm.
strongest. Sound is my strongest sense. But boy, all I have to do is just listen to music and it just completely transports me, no matter where I'm feeling, no matter how depressed I am.
Yeah,
I won't say that if I'm depressed, it'll make me happy. What it will
right.
do though, is it'll raise me on the scale, and that's what I'm looking for anyway,
Yeah,
right?
as long as you're a
That's,
couple steps up on the scale.
then you're better. That's feeling better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which
what's the
reminds me,
name of your list?
the positive music list. That's
Well,
what I call it.
not your music list, the list that you use to
Oh,
buck
it's my
yourself up.
it's my feel good processes list.
Feel good processes list. That's a
Yeah.
long hashtag.
Well, you can shorten it. It's okay.
Feel good list.
People are saying hashtag. What's she doing? Alex actually comes up with my hashtags for the shows, which is really, really helpful, and I appreciate that. But that's what she's doing. She's coming up with the hashtags.
Every little bit helps.
It certainly does. Shelley actually shared a couple of things, three ideas about what she does. She says, go thrifting for things to sell. When in doubt, go thrifting. That's definitely
Mm,
Shelley. Because she's a person who buys and
retail
sells.
therapy every time.
Yeah. She also says, get grateful and do some little thing that feels good. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I just watched a video on quantum jumping. Fascinating. You should all check it out. Quantum jumping.
What is quantum
Okay.
jumping, Shelley?
I mean, I guess quantum
Is
jumping kind of sounds like quantum leaping. So I
I was
imagine
That's what I assumed.
it's kind of in the same ballpark, I would think. But you're right. I haven't heard that particular phrase either. So maybe it's a little bit different. I don't know.
Because I love that show.
The show Quantum Leap.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was classic. I
Mhm.
was
I
like,
like
what
the Quantum
situation
Leap.
is he getting into today?
Not so much the way they portrayed it there, but just the way it's often portrayed by coaches and so forth, the concept of quantum leaping. Because a quantum leap is a way
Hmm.
to make a major shift, a major change in who you are and how you look at the world and what kinds of results you get when you try to put your stuff out there. You try to put your manifestation requests out there. When you
Hmm.
can do that kind of big quantum leap, you get big results. But there's also a
Mm.
whole lot of growth that gets involved in that. So, it's kind of a two-edged sword, on
Yeah.
one hand. But yeah, quantum leaping is it's a cool concept. Um, it's kind of a daring thing.
Hmm.
It's like a truth or dare kind of thing.
Yeah.
I dare you. Go on, try it. Go ahead, try.
Do it, I dare you. Oh man.
Okay. Let's see. So it's my turn because I still don't see. Oh, wait a minute. Shelley actually shared some more information, I think. Oh, this is
What?
Oh, okay. Get in tune with your doppelganger that's doing what you want to be doing. Ask them questions and become that.
Wait, what? Read that
Getting in tune with your doppelganger who's doing what you want to be doing, and then ask them questions and become whatever that is.
again? Touche. I
That's a clever
like
idea.
that.
Yeah. That's another way of saying, ask inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Get higher guidance or whatever you want to say.
Or
Yeah.
your inner Walt.
My inner Walt, yes. My inner Walt is the one that I trust. But you can't stand in front of my monitor. He does this every time he wants attention.
We need to see things and talk to people, so you
Right.
can't do it.
And of course, as soon as I pick him up, he gets up and leaves. So he's
So
a
it looks
he's a
like
little bit of a contrary cat.
it looks like you're making the whole thing up because he's like, no, I'm not on screen, but I'm totally in your way.
Yeah, that's right. Every once in a while, I mean, I know that things are getting bad when he starts chewing paper because it's not that he
Mm,
actually likes to eat paper. He does it just to annoy us.
yeah.
I mean, literally, that's the whole point, and just to piss us off. I've never seen that. Have you ever seen an animal chew paper?
Yes, my dog.
Yeah.
Yes,
Your dog does it.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty strange. Oh, good. He's decided to go entertain himself by looking out the window, so he's good for the next 20 minutes.
Cats and windows, man.
That's right. Okay, next
Oh,
question. Let's see. All right. Well, then as a follow-up to the question you asked me, when
okay.
you when you have a need to get into a better feeling place and you try something that generally works for you and it doesn't work, what do you do then?
Mm. I do a reboot. I go back to bed and start over.
Start all over again.
Yeah. I'm like, nope, today's canceled. Going back to bed. And then I get up and I'm like, no, what I really do is I distract myself with different tasks. So things that chores that need to get done, things I need to do throughout the house, keep myself busy, try to keep my mind off the racing thoughts and the other things that are bothering me. And,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Believe it or not, this sounds strange, but I can't say it's one of my favorite things to do, but it's one of my more effective things to do is to wash dishes. Because
Hmm.
washing dishes is such a mindless activity, and it kind of forces you to go into that mindless mode that it clears your mind of whatever the crap was that you were dealing with.
Yeah.
Which is strange because it's not like it takes a whole lot of thought. I have to think about how to wash the dish. No, it's not like that,
Well,
right?
see, I feel like if I was washing dishes, because I don't wash dishes, but I feel like if I was washing dishes, it's such a mindless activity. My racing thoughts would take over and it would be even worse.
Wouldn't you think that would be it? I
Yeah.
agree with you. But that's not what happens.
Huh.
That's not what happens. No, it becomes therapeutic,
Hmm. Therapeutic soap. Okay.
especially when you have the warm water on your hands and so forth. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is not. It's almost like a meditation.
I forget what that's called. It's a thing they tell me to use in therapy. It's like you're supposed to focus on like when you're in the middle of a panic attack, they want you to take like an orange from the freezer. Like you're supposed to keep an orange in your freezer. I don't know why. And you're supposed to squeeze the orange and you're supposed to feel the orange and you're supposed to feel how cold it is and the pressure of everything about it. It's kind of like that, but I forget what it's called.
It's called keeping the orange frozen in the freezer, isn't it? No.
Oh God. No, it's yeah, that's orange in the freezer therapy.
That's it. Yes. I like that name. That's a good name.
I mean, it could be grounding, like a form of grounding.
Okay.
So like, when you're grounding yourself, you're like, okay, my feet are on the floor, my hands are touching my thighs and that type of thing. So maybe it's that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask my therapist to get back to you on that.
Fair enough.
Like, what's that orange thing you told me to do?
The orange thing, right? Yes. Oh God. All right. Well, the orange thing aside, what I would recommend is you might want to try doing some dishes. Maybe it'll help you go to sleep at night.
All right, so soap
It's a
therapy.
meditative practice, you know. Plus, you'll shock the hell out of your mom. She won't know what to
Yeah,
do.
I know. She won't. She'll be like, "I'm sorry, what happened here?" She's like, "Who came over?" Because their dishes are washed.
Who are you, and what have you done with my daughter?
Oh, she does that when I do spring cleaning. Because when I do spring
Oh, is that
cleaning,
right?
like my OCD takes over, and I like super
Uh,
organize everything.
well, then there are benefits to OCD. There are benefits to everything.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's a positive and a negative to everything. It's all in how you look at it.
Uh, Maggie replied to Shelley, who had posted a YouTube video link that I can't go look at right now. She says, perhaps Alex and Walter referring to mindfulness or insight meditation. Okay, I'll buy that.
Seems legit.
I mean, it's okay with me.
Yeah.
I always thought of mindfulness as just, staying present. But maybe that's part of what this whole dishwashing meditation is. It's just staying present.
Yeah, well, it's focusing on it's being mindful of what's in your hands.
Hmm.
So the orange therapy or the soap therapy and yeah, so yeah, mindfulness. Yeah, okay. I like it. That's what I'm going with.
The other thing about this, I can't believe I'm talking about washing dishes. The other thing about dishwashing is that I find it's a great way to release feeling pissed off about something.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So if something's really bugging me, some
Hmm.
situation, an exchange I had with a human or something like that, and I go wash some dishes. It's like I'll be scrubbing them off the dish.
Okay.
Going down the drain with you. Goodbye. Turn on the disposal. I mean,
So it's like writing an email and then deleting it?
yeah, yeah. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
but without the computer. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the offline version.
Yeah. And you now have clean dishes. So it's
You
it's
have
a
clean
win-win.
dishes. Yeah, it is a win-win. So, whose question was that? I forget.
I don't remember.
I don't think I know either. Um, I think actually we're up to your question. I think you have a question coming up next.
Okay, let me see. I already talked about negativity.
Maybe we should go the other direction.
What do you do about positivity? I mean, bask in it. What do you,
Hey, it's a
what
legitimate question. There are a lot of people
what
who
do
don't know
you
what to do
do?
with positivity.
Okay, then
Seriously,
let's talk about it. What do you do when everything's going your way?
celebrate. And
Yeah.
that's the point. That's not Steve Rowell and I talk about that a lot. How we don't celebrate enough.
Mhm.
And if we did celebrate more good things would come our way.
Yeah, that's true.
And you have to kind of make a big deal about stuff, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
Like, oh, uh, I just got the groceries. Woohoo! Yeah, all right. You have to turn it into a win. You have to, because
Yeah.
otherwise, there are all these little things that happen that are really cool, and we miss most of them
Yeah.
because we just get, oh, okay, well, okay, I got the groceries done. Great. We lost all the emotional power of that.
Yeah. And that's
You know,
sad.
I just had a phone call from my friend in Japan. You talked about how your friend and you talked. Um,
Yeah.
right. Well, that was an important thing. Did you
Yeah.
celebrate it?
No, I didn't.
That's my point. We miss these opportunities to celebrate.
Yeah.
So it's actually important to pay attention to the good things that happen because when we celebrate them, well, we do a couple things. First, we continue to focus on them, and we know what
Mhm.
the importance of that is. And secondly, we build the momentum of them by focusing on them.
I think we forget to do it with the things that we do so often.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
like you said when I was talking to my friend in Japan, like I do that at least 3 or 4 times a week. So, no, I didn't celebrate it because that's just my morning.
So there's 3 or 4 times where you missed an opportunity to feel better about stuff. It was
Yeah.
a great opportunity too. That's the point. We have all these opportunities that happen throughout the day. All we have to
But
do is
then
take it.
on the other side, last night I talked to my cousin who I hadn't talked to in a couple of weeks, and I did celebrate. I was like,
Oh
Mom, I
yeah.
talked to Dennis last night. We had a great conversation, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
good.
Everything's great. Yeah. So, but it's the little things, but also the things you don't expect or the things you don't do so often.
Push the cat out the door.
It's a catastrophe.
It's catatonic, is what it is.
That cracked me up. I should have been an only child, my mother says all the time, because I crack myself up.
Well, there actually some famous comics were only child.
Well, you
Robin
have to make
Williams.
your own entertainment.
Robin Williams didn't have any brothers and sisters,
Hmm.
so he had his toy soldiers and so forth, and he made up uh, games for them to play and conversations for them to have, and
And that's why he
sometimes,
was such a good impressionist because he had nobody to talk to.
yeah, sometimes the therapist would cock an eye and say, "What is going on with that child?"
Oh, I would have killed to been his therapist. Oh, I would have died.
Oh, it reminds me of what James Lipton said about him. James Lipton, who does Inside the Actors Studio
Yep,
on
yep.
Bravo.
Hmm.
He had Robin Williams on. It's one of my favorite. I have a recording of that.
Oh, do
That
you?
oh, it's wonderful. That's one of my favorite. That's on my list actually of
Okay,
things
okay.
I need to put myself up.
Hmm.
Just listen to the first 7 or 8 minutes because he's pure Robin for the first 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
James Lipton doesn't get his first question in until 8 minutes in. And he says it dramatically. For my first question, Robin replies, "This is for $5."
Oh my God. Yeah, it can
But
be draining though, being on all the time. It wears you down, and
oh yeah.
that's where the depression comes from, and all that other stuff that comes
Mhm.
with it. It's 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 a tough life
But
being an
the point I
entertainer.
was going to make by bringing up James Lipton is that Lipton at one point asked him, what's actually going on? Are you actually thinking faster than the rest of us? What the hell is going on
Yeah.
in there?"
We usually are. We're usually two jokes ahead of everybody.
Yeah, right. That's
Oh
what
my
made him
God.
so brilliant because he could be 2 jokes ahead, but he was making it up as he went along.
Yeah.
That's what was so cool about it.
Hmm.
And all he had to do was hear you say one thing, it would cue an idea, and he turned it into this long spiel.
Yeah.
Oh, that was brilliant. Just brilliant.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm remembering now when Lipton asked him that question, got a laugh at it. Robin turned into a professor saying, when we look at the history of humor, and he stands up like he's pointing at a chart. Here we see the Neanderthal. He's working with a Cro-Magnon, and the joke is how long, how many Cro-Magnon does it take to light a fire? And the answer is none. They don't have it yet.
Speaking of lighting
So
fires,
crazy.
I saw a meme on Facebook for Autism Awareness Day, and it said the first the first caveman to light a fire was autistic because nobody else knew what to do.
I love it. That's good. Kind of ironic, really, because if that was true, he was the one who we would label as autistic, but everybody else was looking at him like, what is he doing?
Well,
And they just had this dumb look
that's
on
what
their
it's like.
faces, you
He
know?
he probably had a his specific interest was rocks, and he just decided I'm gonna play with these rocks, and oh, fire! Hello. I
Which
call
makes me
you
wonder,
fire.
which makes me wonder who's the autistic one? Is it the guy who's playing with the rocks, or is it the people who are all staring at him playing with the rocks? Which one are
Well,
the
that's
autistic?
the argument we have all the time on the autism page is who who's in the right here, the neurotypicals or the or the neuro different differences, different. I forget what the word is, but yeah.
Mm,
But yeah, so it's like who's really the normal ones, and I use that
mm-hmm,
in quotation marks.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Joel often talks about how his ADHD works to his advantage.
Oh
And
yeah.
he loves being ADHD. He thinks it's the best thing in the
Mhm.
world. Best
Yeah.
thing since sliced bread, really, just because it gives him the ability to do focus on what he wants to and to not have to focus on what he doesn't want to.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he's right. That is a tremendous ability. That's a superpower, really, right there.
Yep.
So that leads, no, okay, talk about queuing ideas. That leads to my next question. What are your favorite superpowers for you to have?
Wait. Okay. Do you mean like the ones that I possess or that I wish I had?
Yes. It's free form. You can answer it any way you want to.
Ooh, you just opened Pandora's box. Okay.
Well, that's the
Let's
whole
see.
point of this, to get the conversation going.
Superpowers I okay, let's do wish I had first. So superpowers I
Okay.
wish I had. Mm. See, I always thought I wish I knew what people were thinking because I can't read social cues. But then I picture myself walking around like going like this because everyone's talking at the same time and I can't focus and all I can hear is everyone's voices. And so, I focus on the negative part of the superpower. So I'm like, maybe I don't want that one. I don't
So
want to
you want to
fly.
be the female version of Mel Gibson is what you want to be, right? Because he was in the movie What Do Women Think or What Do Women Want or
What
whatever it
do
was.
women want? And they
And-
actually did What Do Men Want
Oh, did
with
they?
they did with Taraji P Henson. It was
Oh, I
alright.
didn't.
It was alright. Yeah, it just came out this year. Like not even 2 weeks ago. It just came out.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
It, it was alright. But yeah, basically that situation. But
So
I assume later on you would learn to hone your powers and learn to control it so you can focus on one person at a time.
well, that's the ideal, isn't it?
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
would like to be able to know what people are thinking
Okay.
and let's see what else. Teleportation.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because I don't want to fly because I don't do heights. So just being able to be somewhere instantly, that'd be great.
So,
That'd be
so somebody who
fantastic.
does astral travel, you don't want that. What you want is the Star Trek transporter. You stand on a pod, and you end up on another pod.
Yep, yep, exactly.
In between, you sparkle all over the universe.
Well, I sparkle anyway, so
There you go. So it's right character, right?
exactly. And probably to be able to predict the future. That would be my third one.
Well, anyone can predict the future. That's not the problem. The problem is getting it right.
Oh my God.
Lots of people predict the future. They're just wrong most of the time. You got psychics
Okay.
to predict the future. You got stock market watchers who predict the future. You got business analysts who
Yeah.
predict the future. I mean, you got all these people predicting the future, and they're usually wrong. I mean, for most
Okay.
people who predict the future, you can take what they say and invest in the opposite side and become a millionaire. I mean, that's the way a lot of this stuff works.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, that's why the few who actually get it right make millions of dollars with selling their newsletters. Oh, here's what I'm predicting. You'll get it right
Yep.
68% of the time.
I don't know. Nostradamus got it right most of the time.
I'm not really sure what he actually predicted, to be honest. I mean, I know I've read his stuff, but after I read it, I say to myself, what does that actually mean? What is he actually saying there?
You know who gets it right a lot of the time?
Who's that?
The writers on The Simpsons.
Well, that's easy. They already know what's going to come up next. That's the
No, but I
whole
mean
point.
like
If you're the script writer, you already know what's
no,
coming up.
no, the stuff that they predicted, like they predicted Trump winning the presidency like 12 years ago.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, that type of stuff.
Do you think that they actually wanted to predict that?
I don't think they wanted to. I think they just said, "What's the craziest thing we could come up with?" And holy crap, it came true.
A lot of shows have done stuff like that. I mean, look how much stuff that was considered science fiction when Star Trek
Hmm.
first came out is now part of our life.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we have medical scanners, we have communication
Yep.
devices we can hold in our hands. We even had flip
Hmm.
phones that were just like the way the communicator opened up. You know, we- really about the only thing that we lack is the transporter pod, which is what you were asking for.
That's
Other
all
than that,
I'm saying.
that plus ships that fly at faster than the speed of light. But besides those two things, we got the rest of it.
Well, who says we don't have those and just nobody told us yet? We're just not on the cool people list of
So
people that know about it.
are we going to Area 51? Is that what you're saying?
Or did Area 51 come to us? Let that let that marinate.
Ah, okay. This is how conspiracy theories are created, folks.
Hmm.
They are created by doing tremendous amounts of
I feel
invested
like
research.
I feel like it did. I feel like something did happen at Area 51, and now we just spent this whole entire time reverse engineering what landed, and we've already figured it out. We're just not on the cool people list.
So you're an advocate of the theory that we live in the Matrix.
Mm, to a point, because I do feel like they made that movie so that we wouldn't believe that we were in the Matrix.
I
You know
thought it
what
was
I
the other way
mean?
around.
Oh, it's a movie, so it can't. It's got to be science fiction. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
but
it's
look how
like,
many
is
people
it?
look how many fans of the movie have come to the conclusion that we do live in the Matrix because they saw
Yeah.
the movie.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if that
They
was
got
their
the opposite
intention,
effect. Yeah.
yeah, it kind of backfired.
Yeah, a little bit.
But do you? I guess you kind of you don't really totally buy into the idea that we live in the Matrix.
No, no. I don't
Okay.
believe I'm really in a pod somewhere. Just and this is just a shell.
So you don't feel like there's somebody sucking your energy out of you for lunch.
No, I'm pretty energized all the time, so I don't think so.
Okay. So there it is, QED. We are not living in the Matrix. We've just proven it.
You know why? Because Alex is always right. Hashtag.
Alex is always right. You've been wanting to write that hashtag for a long time
One
now.
one day it will apply, and I'm going to use it.
Oh, we are in our silly mode today. This is good. This is healthy. Silly is
I
a
might
happy
change
thing.
my name on the bottom of blue jeans to Alex is always right. Hashtag.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's room for it. Why not? Yeah.
I'm gonna, totally gonna. I might change my Instagram name too while I'm at it.
I love it. I love it. So, have we covered all your desired superpowers?
Those are my desired ones. Now, the superpowers that I possess
Okay.
are manifesting is
Yeah.
obviously one of them because I'm obviously good at it because everything works out for me one way
Mm-hmm.
or another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see, what else am I good at?
Well, focusing. I
Take.
mean, if you're good at manifesting, you're good at focusing.
I'm not good at focusing though. I think my subconscious is though, because it stays focused on dumb things.
I mean, because if you're manifesting what you want, you're focusing. You can't really manifest it without the focusing. You have to.
Well, I feel like I have a third brain that's doing the work for me. Like there's my conscious, my subconscious, and then something else. I don't know what to call it, but it's doing all the manifesting.
Well, maybe it's your inner Alex.
Oh,
I mean, that could be
it's,
it.
it could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So manifesting is something I'm good at. Um, Taking lemons and making lemonade is something I'm good at.
Yes, you certainly are.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check it. I will vote for you on LinkedIn for that particular skill.
I have never been on LinkedIn, nor will I ever be.
I have been on LinkedIn, and I can tell you it's just as boring as you imagine that it is.
It is boring and so annoying. Ah. I was like, no, I don't want to come to your seminar about about your pyramid scheme. I really don't. No, I don't want to make $200,000 in a week. How do I become my own boss?
Oh.
I'll tell you.
This is actually a good message for internet marketers who think that they found the next cool way to make $1 million. Pay attention to Alyx and rethink.
Because Alyx is always right.
This is always
Down.
right. So,
That's
all right.
it. I'm putting the hashtag.
There it is. It finally made it. Hooray! Shelley added, the pod is your soul and the body is your shell.
Wait, what? The pod is your soul and the body is okay. I can ride with that. I can ride with
You
that.
like that? Okay. All right. So what other superpowers do you have?
My third one would be hmm,
Well, what's actually with those first two, you can do anything. So that really is all any superpower
I
person needs,
know I am pretty great.
other
Um,
than being able to transport oneself on demand, which is a cool one. I like that one.
you see, that's what I'm saying. There'd be no need for traffic. I mean, life would be so much simpler. I mean,
Alex said you never have to go outside.
we basically are doing it right now with video chatting. So in
Kind
a
of,
way,
yeah, yeah.
I'm technically in your office right now,
This is true. Yeah.
and you're in my bedroom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm. Because I'm asking myself, what superpowers would I want? And I think I already have them, like you were saying. I think it's
Yeah.
about being able to manifest, being able to focus. Those are the two big ones.
Mhm.
One of the ones that I've most recently learned, recent being in the last 5 to 10 years, is that I have control over my emotional response to any situation. That was a big one. That was a breakthrough for me.
I'm trying. Do I? I'm trying to think of a situation. Yeah, yeah, I do. I do.
We all do. Yeah.
Yeah.
The hard part is remembering and realizing it, recognizing it,
Yeah.
noticing
Yeah.
that it's because I mean, for the longest time, for years, I really thought that my response to any situation, emotionally speaking, was dependent on the person who was giving me the lead, or was, the situation was dictating to me how I was going to feel. I didn't realize that I actually controlled my response. I
Yeah.
thought maybe, every once in a while, maybe I might get something that I wanted in terms of a response, but usually it was outside my control. And then one day, after reading some Abraham Hicks, I tried applying the idea.
Mhm.
And to my amazement, I was able to choose a different response from what the scenario I was dealing with would normally tell me to engage in. Like, whoa. And from that day to this, I've been doing podcasts trying to learn how to stretch that skill. Because it's powerful. It's very, very powerful. That actually corresponded with you talked about people who try to sell you pyramid schemes and
Mhm.
make $200,000 in a minute and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, it corresponded to this whole idea of being able to control your emotions helped me to understand how the sales process works, how marketing.
Mhm.
Because I've
Mhm.
been studying that. I've been doing marketing. I've been studying it. I've been trying to learn it, trying to get my head around the whole thing. So I really, really got it for
Yeah.
years.
Mhm.
But what was my breakthrough? What made the whole thing make sense to me was I finally realized every single selling situation, every single transaction
Mhm.
happens first and foremost on an emotional level.
Yep.
And I didn't know that. And
Mhm.
when I finally got that, I said, holy crap, it's really true. And I started working
Yeah.
all the iterations, all the different ways of playing it out. And my God, it really is true. And then I started to sell it to my clients, and they weren't having it because they
No,
didn't believe it
jeez.
any more than I did.
Well, if you take, for example, there's a commercial that just came out about, yeah, I think it's a Subaru commercial, and it's talking about the safety, how safe their newest car is. And
Hmm.
they're like, when you're worried about your irresponsible teenager texting and driving, and they have all these features that keep you focused on the road. So
Hmm.
yeah, emotionally you're like, oh yeah, my teenager just started driving and I'm very nervous about it. So they get you, and then they're
Hmm.
like, yep, I need a Subaru and I need all those features because my
That's it.
kid is gonna crash this car.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's precisely how it really works. The example I like to give, I use this a lot with my clients when I was trying to encourage them to buy my marketing services, which interestingly enough they wouldn't do. I think it was because they, but anyway, I would tell them the story, which was a story I'd heard. I hadn't made it up. Guy goes into a car dealership
Mhm.
because he needs to get a new car for his family.
Mhm.
He goes in, and in the showroom there are two cars on display there.
Mhm.
One is an SUV, very
Mhm.
practical, so all the right, features and so forth that a family would want. And the second one is a red convertible sports car.
Oh, the ultimate dilemma.
That's a tough dilemma for him, He's looking at this car and he's just
Yeah.
himself flying down the road and the wind in his hair
Mhm.
and all that kind of thing. Top down, beautiful summer day. And then he looks at the SUV, so boring. He thinks about his
Yeah.
future. The salesman comes out and sees how he's reacting and says, "Oh, you like the sports car, huh? Yeah. Oh boy, I can just imagine myself driving that."
Mhm.
They have a long conversation, and the guy ends up buying the SUV.
Yeah.
And when I tell that story to my clients, I'd say, "Do you know why he bought the SUV?" And their answer was invariably, "Well, he had to buy it for his family. I mean, he had to go practical. He had to do the practical thing. He reasoned it out, and he
Mhm.
logically came to the conclusion the SUV was going to be much more practical for his family than the sports car was." I said,
Mhm.
"Yes, that's what most people would say, but you're absolutely wrong. He bought the
Really?
SUV. He bought the SUV because he loved his family more than he loved the sports car. It was love, not practicality, that led him to buy the SUV."
Yep. That's a hashtag.
That's a hashtag. I love it. But isn't it true? When you really look deeply at every single situation where you buy a stick of gum, anything, it's always emotion that drives it first and foremost. And then the rest of the time is spent rationalizing it.
Mhm. Yeah.
On some level, I emotionally want this thing. Now I got to convince myself that it's okay.
Yes, I have buyer's remorse all the time when I
All the
buy
time.
something. It could be $10 socks, and I'm like, did I really need to pay $10 for socks? Could I got them cheaper somewhere else? Should I take them back and see if they're cheaper somewhere else? And then I'm like, that involves going outside. I'm not, forget it. I just spent $10 on socks. Just let let it
I've
be right
actually
with my soul.
mentioned that I'm good at math. I've actually gotten to a point at times where I was asking myself, okay, like I want to go get some gas, but I could have
Hmm.
gotten the gas 10 cents cheaper if I'd driven
Yes,
5 miles to do it.
yes.
So if I got it 10 cents cheaper and I put 10 gallons in my tank, that would have saved me $1. But the time that it would have taken me to go from here to there and back again would have been at least a half an hour at $100 an hour that I think I'm worth. That would cost me $50. So I would have spent $50 in order to save $1. I would go through that kind of calculation.
Well, not only that, but the amount of gas that you're using to go to the further gas station,
Oh yeah,
does
well
that make any
that has
sense?
to be calculated in, right?
Yeah.
So all these ways that I'm trying to justify to myself not going to the gas station to save
Yeah.
myself $1.
Mhm. I don't
Oh,
know, $1 is a lot for gas. I would definitely go further. If it was like 20 cents, I'd be like, okay, but a whole dollar? Yeah, I'm going. Oh, I figured out my third superpower,
oh, what's that?
the ability to make people laugh.
Oh, I agree with that.
Hmm.
That is a superpower, and it's a wonderful one. And you
It
have it in
is.
spades, which is good.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
try.
yeah. Well, that's why we get the big bucks doing this show.
Yeah. Not just doing this out of the good kindness of my own heart, people.
That's right, exactly. This is where we need to have a little sign that shows up on the video saying sarcasm, sarcasm, sarcasm.
Especially for people like me. I don't get sarcasm unless I'm the one doing the sarcasm.
That's right.
Social cues. Social cues needed.
They are important. They really are. Yeah. That and understanding who the joke is on,
Yeah.
right? Because
Hmm.
if the joke is on someone, this is the rule I follow. I don't know if you follow this rule, but this is the rule I
Hmm.
follow. If the joke is on someone and that person isn't laughing, then my rule is that the joke wasn't funny.
Hmm. But
They have to be laughing.
they might just not have got it right away.
They might not have got it, or they might have gotten offended.
True.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but if they're laughing, then it's funny.
Okay. My rule is you never make fun of something that someone can't help.
That's a good rule.
So if
I
they're
like
like,
that.
if it's something to do with the way they're born, you you don't touch that.
Unless, well, there's an exception for me. The
Okay.
exception is if they make reference to it themselves.
Well, then you can laugh along with them, but
Exactly.
you can't make the joke.
Well, you can piggyback on their joke too.
Mm, I don't know. I don't know.
No?
I don't know if
Okay.
I would touch it. I don't know if I would.
The ethics of joke telling.
Because sometimes people make jokes about themselves because they have low self-esteem. So you piggybacking on that is gonna, later on they're gonna be thinking that must be how she really
You have to
feels.
read the situation. You have to kind of
Ex
evaluate where that person's coming from.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do they really not care if I say anything, or is this really gonna hurt their feelings later when they think about this?
As usual, context is everything.
Yes.
It really
Yes.
is. Well, we are coming to the end of an hour. I want to make sure I get our announcements in. So, if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, please become one. It's real simple. We get the links into almost all the places where we're putting in the descriptions for each of these topics that we discuss. But if you can't find the links, just go to the homepage of the website, loatoday.net, and right at the top, you'll see a great big icon with text in it that says, click here to subscribe with, and it'll tell you what kind of device you got there because it detects it automatically. You just click it, walk through the steps, and just like that, you're a subscriber. And then after you subscribe, of course, make sure that you'll listen to all the episodes and that you're sharing on social media and with your friends in other ways too, even on, that archaic method known as a telephone call. Whatever, whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that you're sharing the fact that you're listening to LOA today so that other people can find out about it. Subscribe and share. That's our mantra around here. And
And
anything happening? Oh, what? And what? And.
and
Oh,
don't
YouTube,
forget YouTube.
YouTube. Tell them about YouTube.
Okay, so if you want to rewatch this or if you want to watch this for the first time, go to YouTube and look for LOA Today podcast videos
Mm.
and subscribe, and hit that little bell next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified every time we do an episode.
It's a cool feature. Once you told me about that one, I said, I'm
Yeah.
glad they have that. I wish they explained it better, but I'm glad they have that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I just clicked it one day and I was like, what does this do? Why is this
This is
here?
what they counted on. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the developer counted on. He was hoping that people would click it and say, oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What the programmer calls an Easter egg. Ooh, look at that. Any news about spoiler alert? Anything coming up that people should know about?
I believe either today or tomorrow I'm doing my interview with a Supernatural fan who went to the Vegas convention,
Ooh.
which is the first convention after the announcement of the cancellation. So there were lots of tears in the room and lots going on. So I'm excited to hear from her and, just talk about how we feel about the show ending in general.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Even though we have another year, but still, we're still coping.
So they didn't call it the supernatural wake, right?
I mean, it might as well have been. Like, we're all
Mhm.
in mourning right now.
Did everybody wear black? You know,
Probably.
yeah. Veils
I,
over the head
I
and so
saw
forth.
I saw clips of the actors that were actually crying on stage. So when they started talking about the ending, yeah,
Yeah. Well, when you've been on it as long as they've been on, what'd you say, 15 years that show's been
Fif-
on? Yeah,
yeah, it's 15 years.
that's a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of mojo built up under that one. A lot of positive momentum, and for some people negative momentum, but mostly positive because
Mhm.
Now the fans get to play all the old episodes again, right?
I mean,
Reruns.
we were doing that anyway because we do that every day.
Okay. So that activity doesn't go away. This is so
Hopefully.
cool about recordings. I mean, there are people who have long since been moved on, transitioned to the other realm, but we can still see their movies. You know,
That's true.
John
That's true.
John Wayne is as alive today as he was 50 years ago.
Yep.
Amazing.
Mhm.
So anyway, we will be doing the Neville, today's Neville Day for people who are Neville Goddard fans. So this afternoon, Cindy Chavez and I will be talking about Neville Goddard. Join us for that. And then Alex and I meet with Tom Wells on Friday. So looking forward to that. And I'm promising you, Alex, I told you yesterday after the podcast, and today is my day to really start doing the next part of that script and actually seeing if we can get the script put together. Because once we
All
have the
right.
script, then we do our casting. And we even have somebody who reached out to us who wants to be a cast member. I told you about that one,
Yes,
right?
if you would like to be a cast member, please contact us. Please DM
Yep,
us.
absolutely. Yeah. So people are already volunteering. That's good. That means that we're starting to tap into the zeitgeist.
Yes, yes.
Good stuff. All right. Well, anyway, thank you, Alex. Thank you to our live stream audience. Thank you to our podcast audience as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.